Recording has just started.
Didn't get me a chance to yabble beforehand. Okay.
Yabble afterhand. Pin it needed to your main screen.
Sitting on a sweater. Put my other screen on in case I want to screen share it and everything. The Woman in the Window. What did you think?
It was hard to get the movie because it's a 2021 movie with Amy Adams. Agoraphobic woman living alone. On her new neighbors only do violence.
No, the wrong movie.
That's The Woman in the Window.
No, Edward G. Robinson, I said. Are we watching the wrong movie?
I just looked I just saw The Woman in the Window, and it's a 2021 movie with
there
Amy Adams. No, I saw the right one.
Good. What did you think?
Best movie we've seen so far.
It was done really well.
Yeah.
I thought
wonderful result.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep. I tried to figure out if I was disappointed in the end, but I wasn't, because it was like one of the first ones who had, the twist at the end is a dream, and like they've done it since. But this was like one of the first ones that, aside from The Wizard of Oz, that, the whole thing's a dream. Sorry.
So funny thing is, and I don't know when I had the dream just lately, because I have had it just lately. I've had, throughout my life, I've had where I've woken up and in my dream, I've had a secret that I can't let out because I'm so guilty about something similar to him, what he's going through. And then he wakes up out of the dream and it's like, oh my goodness, did I do that? Is what's going on? I didn't. Holy smokes, I didn't. Thank goodness I didn't do that. You know what I mean? He was so riddled with the feelings. And I wake up that way often, and I did this, and I had the dream this week. And none of the dreams have anything to do with the same. I just wake up so guilty, as if I killed somebody and buried a body in the woods and just never told anybody, and hope to goodness I don't get caught out on it. That same fear kind of in my dream I wake up from. Isn't that weird?
Okay, and I sort of have the opposite, and it's not necessarily dreams, but the sense of relief that, oh my goodness, not that I didn't get caught, but it didn't happen that way, like an almost accident, or almost something, and it's like I feel like I got away with something, and I'm gonna drive better or live better or do better because I have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. So mine is the relief that the guilt is not real.
Yes.
But there's something deep inside that makes me think the guilt is real. It's really strange.
Yeah.
Right? That I'm going, okay, have I really thought of everything? Like in my brain, it's in a barn, and in one of my dreams, I went to a barn, and I'm like nervous that people are going in this barn. So nervous that they're going to see the body I buried or something. You know what I mean? Just so nervous that I'm going to get caught out on this. And I remember that being part of a dream. And it wasn't even the barn in Caister Center. It's like a totally different barn. But in my brain, I remember people going into it and saying, oh, let's go in the barn. I'm just like riddled with. And then I wake up going, was that real? Did I really do something with a barn? Holy smokes. But like nothing.
Probably not.
Good thing I don't drink or do drugs, because I would blame it on something like that, because it feels so real that I could say that was a drug-induced something.
Yeah. No, I thought it was just a really well done movie. Like, and the guy who's like Edward G. Robinson is not like, this Cary Grant, sex symbol kind of guy. He's just this schmuck who's married and got a bunch of kids, and it's just this regular guy.
I thought he was better than a regular guy. I didn't.
Yeah.
I took him.
No, schmuck isn't bad. Schmuck isn't bad. It's just like he's not this Adonis or anything like that. He's just a regular guy.
So see, what takes it away from regular guy for me is like when the cop looks in his pulls him over, and then he goes, "Look, I'm a professor, assistant professor. And he goes, well, go on then. Like, you're obviously of some importance, an assistant professor. How important are they? Why does he get to like evade the law kind of thing when you're an assistant professor? Like, it seemed like he was like the vice president of the United States. Go, move along. I didn't know it was you kind of thing. So he had this reverence, and obviously he's got a car service. Back in the 40s, car services weren't like for everybody. And where he goes to that gentleman's club and the way they treat him and stuff. It's so he's obviously like a level above what most people are.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny how like his family leaves. And so you know why I picked this movie is because Robert Blake, who played the kid in Treasures of the Sierra Madre, plays his son in this one too. So this is both Robert Blake, very, very young acting.
I knew Robert Blake was in it because I saw him in the credits. And then when I watched the whole movie, I went, where was Robert Blake? Where was he? My goodness, how come I didn't? And then I went, oh, yeah, the beginning. Oh, my goodness, at the beginning.
He's the kid.
I went back to the beginning and watched that. So the first 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes of this movie are exactly like the 7-Year Itch.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. She's going off with the kids. He's staying home. In the 7-Year Itch, it was the summer. You summered in the Hamptons or something, and you stayed home, and the men stayed home and worked in New York. And that was they were leaving, and he's staying home to work because he can't leave his school.
And what kind of trouble do you get into? This guy got into the worst kind of trouble. So he starts out reading the Bible, right? The Song of Solomon. The last one you're supposed to be reading with your wife out of town is the Song of Solomon. So start with that. And then he meets this woman in the window, and he's infatuated. And then he ends up in her house. And it's like, and of all the twists and turns, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done it. Like he wasn't sleeping around. He didn't even kiss her.
No, but he's feeling like he shouldn't be there. He knows
he shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
yes.
So there's that aspect of the movie that he's feeling guilty, and he really doesn't need to feel guilty. And that's why when he killed him, the whole idea of they needed to get rid of the body instead of call the cops. Now, she was a prostitute. Was that what they were trying to?
I don't know. Like, where did she get her money from? Like, I guess these men are paying like for her place, but it's like, is the current guy did he pay for that place, or does she just kind of regularly find men who give her stuff?
Oh no, I think she's a prostitute. I think that's
of some degree. But it seems like when she's with the really, really rich guy, then she doesn't have to do that all the time.
I mean, you give her $1,000 necklace. That's a $10,000 necklace now. You know what I mean? Or more. Yeah, $20,000 necklace. So if you're somebody gives a $20,000 necklace to, you're a high class something or other. And she certainly had a nice apartment. You know what I mean? Like a fireplace in her apartment. It was huge. It really, that was I mean, I could totally see falling for her the same way he did, because he's infatuated with her in the first place. He beats all his friends who don't believe he'd ever even get to talk to her, and he gets to be in her apartment at 1:00 in the morning, chatting up a storm with the most beautiful woman in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Come and look at my etchings, my drawings. It's like, yeah. And he was saying, I should stop. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't drink. I shouldn't be at your place. Like all of this stuff. He kept saying how much he shouldn't do stuff, and he was doing it. It's like, Go ahead. Did you find any like flaws in the movie? I found a couple that it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, the stabbing with the scissors, no blood anywhere, and no holes in his clothing, and like it was a little bit like they could have made that more realistic. Although it was made in 1944, so you don't really need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We all knew that the guy was stabbed. The other one was the guy's hat, like. And then why didn't he keep the blanket on the guy while he was transporting him? And then of all the places to pull over, he pulled over in the no parking zone. Like, no, you're not allowed to stop there. And that's, but if you notice, the sign said no parking, no picnicking, bicycling, or walking along the drive. It did not say no body dumping. So he was okay.
I thought it was weird because it was a paved piece of road. Well, if you're going to dump a body, you don't do it on a paved, like in the woods next to a paved piece of road, especially in 44, when every back road should be a non-paved road.
Yeah.
Like
he's got an incredible amount of bad luck. Like he knows the guy detective.
that he's back at the scene, and they say we found a girl, but wasn't it very Romeo and Juliet-esque at the end when he takes the pills and now he's gonna pass away and commit suicide just when he's off the hook, and he actually like would have been scot-free and you know what I mean?
And she was desperately trying to reach him to say, it's going to be okay. It's okay. Someone else killed him, but it's too late.
That's Romeo and Juliet to the T at the end.
Yep.
The other thing I found really weird was this was made in 1944. That's the middle end of World War II. How do they make a movie like this pretending a war is not going on? It's a world war. It's not like a Iraqi invasion war that doesn't really involve too many people directly. Everybody's involved in this, and then they make a movie about this and high life living, and it seemed really strange to me. Make this 2 years after World War II and it makes sense to me. Make it during World War II, it just was strange to me.
Yeah,
like it was.
They didn't deal with it. But it's funny, you cannot set a movie anymore in 2021 and not mention COVID, like, because that's the whole world was dealing with COVID. So it's funny how they won't be able to have a realistic movie of 2021 set in 2021 and not deal with it.
I would think most movies don't deal with it on purpose.
Of course, but then you're setting that's a step removed from reality.
Right.
You know
like
I mean?
That movie is like that. Yeah. You're pretending to be a full escape, not any kind of reality.
Yeah.
In it at all.
Yeah. So I like the way he kept screwing up, like he was driving without his lights on. He was, getting caught with all the toll thing. It went the wrong, all these things that is just going against his way. It's just not, the guy's going to see him and oh no. And just, he tried so hard to plot and plan. And it's kind of refreshing seeing them screw up because we're used to seeing these, these spy kind of movies, and they all have, all the equipment they need and everything is perfect and it, goes without a hitch, and everything just goes so wrong for him. And he puts his foot in his mouth very clearly a number of times, and you're going, stop.
I didn't see him as the Pink Panther kind of.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. It sounds like he's a bumbling fool kind of thing.
No, he wasn't, but he ended up, he kept doing things like he said, oh, maybe he said to his police officer friend, maybe I did it. It's like, don't say that. Shut up. But he wasn't doing it because he was bumbling. He was just, his guilt was eating at him. And then he was being forgetful. Like, and why would you go to the crime scene? And then he goes in the right direction. And then, the poison ivy that's right at the crime scene is also on his hands. And
the right direction was the one that I obviously not, if I'm him, I'd be standing back as much as possible, trying to let them do anything. I wouldn't be leading them into the woods.
He leads them to the body.
And that to me was a mistake because I don't think anybody would be going, okay, come on, follow me, cops. So I think it's probably this way. Like that was when you say a mistake. To me, that was a mistake. I loved how the pen was lost and then the pen was found and how slick that bad guy was. I really liked his slickness and his confidence.
Yeah, apparently they did another movie together with the same people, with the similar plot, like the two kind of innocents and the guy who's blackmailing him kind of thing. So some of the same people just basically copied the movie and did it again a couple of years later. I can't remember which one it was, but me see.
I thought she was great, Joan Bennett. I thought
Yeah.
she did a fantastic job. You believed her. Her both confidence and her fear at those two times seemed to be appropriate. I really thought it was the best movie we've seen. Like even better than Aardvark, and I really liked Aardvark. I was nervous with 15 minutes left in the movie, like nervous, just sitting there really.
Yeah, like he's gonna get caught. He's gonna get caught.
Really hoping it goes their way, and I'm saying to myself, like, okay, what's the chances of it going well for him? What are the chances that he's going to come out? And then when it all falls apart at the end, and you realize, oh, he can get away with it. Sure enough, he did take the medication to commit suicide, and he did do that. So he's not going to come out. It's not going to be a happy ending. Like, and I was really disappointed because I was so hoping for a happy ending for him, be reunited with his wife and his kids, and then when it ended, because that was all a dream, the dream he had that you saw him fall asleep earlier. Then I went, okay, they did end it nicely. This is a really good thing. Yep. I didn't like the very end when he goes back and looks at that girl and then sees another woman walking up. You know what I mean? Like, and then he like runs away from her for $1 million, and he runs away. That was a bit corny. What I thought they should have done was show you the other girl that they had in the cop car that they said was a lowlife.
Yeah, we don't get to see her.
And then they'd had her come up at the end.
Yeah,
you know maybe. What I mean? Like that, because all the other people in the dream were from, obviously he would have dreamt about those people because of like the guy who got the taxi cab for him and the guy who did the coat check. You know what I mean? Like
those were people.
And that's why they go in the dream, just like in Wizard of Oz. But at the very end, if he'd have seen that girl in the cop car, if they'd have walked her by her, she would have looked at him and gone, oh, good, it's not her. And we'd have seen her. And then she would have come up at the end. He doesn't have an answer for that. That would have been the little twist in the whole thing. How come you dreamt about her, yet he's seeing her now for the first time? That would have been a cool thing.
Yeah, because we didn't even see her, because for a while we didn't know if that was the girl, because we're panicking thinking they brought her to the site, and oh no, but then they find it, oh, she's a low life, and so okay, that it can't be the same one.
And then the phone call happened and you realize that for sure it wasn't her.
Yeah.
But I really would have loved to see.
Yeah.
Because then it's a confusing. He couldn't bring her into the dream. That makes something more real all of a sudden. It takes it out of a total hoaxy dream and puts some form of reality into what happened.
Well, one of the things I did think of that I liked about this movie is I thought, what would I do with a body? How would I get rid of it? What would I like? Of course, call the cops. Okay. But then now, like, how would I, if I had to get rid of a body, Like, it's just an interesting thing. Like, how would you get rid of a body? Would you put it in the backyard? Like, I mean, would you bury it? All this kind of stuff is like nothing in my experience would give me that a chance to do that. So the movie kind of makes you think, what would I do? What would you do?
It's all hard because I don't have a boat. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, can I borrow somebody's boat? Then as soon as somebody says, this guy strangely borrowed my boat and took it out in the middle of the night into the deepest lake in the province. You know what I mean? Like, that's, and the difference is we have cameras everywhere nowadays. GPS is on everything. And there is a system. They built this for Iraq. Of an airplane flying above so high that you can't see it. In other words, it's flying at 40,000 feet and it's videoing a very high resolution, or takes a picture every, say, 2 seconds, very, very high resolution image. And it just does it all day long, every single day. And then what happens is they store all those images somewhere, and then they, some bomb goes off, a roadside bomb in Iraq goes off. So they go, okay, let's go to that spot and reverse the images. And so they go back, and sure enough, there's somebody planting the bomb. Well, keep backing up. Where'd they come from?
Yep.
What cars? Where did they
follow
leave?
follow the white van all the way to the location?
And then they find out where they were, and they would get them. So this is something that they when they were having all these improvised explosive devices, then they sat down, brainstormed, how do we solve this problem? How do we find out? How do we stop these people from doing it? They came up with this solution. There's a great podcast about it, This American Life, or one of those things.
I listened to that one. I thought it was a really good very good podcast.
Put it in Ohio, into a town in Ohio.
Yep.
And they were solving all the crimes.
Yep.
And then you remember it was stopped, why they canceled it?
I think that it wasn't what's that word? It took too many man hours to do you have to do it for a really big crime, not just, little things like your car was stolen.
It actually was the opposite. It was people in the city council said that infringes on our rights because something to do with a mayor screwing around on his wife, and then they can end up finding out who that is. Like, everybody's movement now is tracked. Your rights can be infringed on, and they can know where you went. And if you fooled around on your wife and somebody paid somebody enough money. So let's say a company did this, right? And they actually said, I'll just do it as a company. So people want to pay me for looking at videos, I'll sell it to them. And so a wife hires them and goes, where did my husband go today? You know what I mean? I'll pay you $300. And they go, okay, let's go through the video. That's where he went. And the mayor and the people on the council and all people went, that's too scary. Cancel the whole thing. And they shelved it. So they didn't shelve it because it was too expensive. It was solving all the crimes they had. It was used in Mexico when a woman
cartel
went down by a cartel. Yeah. And they found out exactly who did it, solved the crime, all that kind of stuff. And so there's that whole thing about people's rights. And I mean, that's the struggle we have today with COVID and my body, my choice. And do I have to get the shot? Should I be forced to do it? I really love that argument because I like arguing both sides of that argument. The one of, should you allow the government to do a self-directed medical procedure on you, and giving you an mRNA vaccine, which is reasonably untested, is a medical procedure on you? And people would say, no, the government's going to do it for the right reasons, then they should be able to. So in China, when they had the one baby rule, and then you have an abortion if you had a second kid, was that right? And people go, well, no, that's not right, but that's for the wrong reasons. And you go, wait a minute, that was for the right reasons. That was to control the population. It was exploding and causing making tons of people suffer by doing this. So it was actually for the right reasons, but it was killing babies. But as a government, so you're saying the government has the right to make these things because they think it's right, and it's for the overall good of everybody. And that's what the one-child policy in China was. And I mean, it was right, awful and terrible and shouldn't be done, but it was right for the overall good.
Yeah,
and that's what the shots are, for the overall good, but it's not right.
Yes. Well, it's just I was at one of the social media sites that was an environmentalist said, something along the lines that, we ought to do more to save this planet. It's terrible what we're doing. It's awful how selfish people are. And it's like, well, we'll just kill off all the old people. They're a drain on society. I'm thinking, why don't we just kill them all? That solves your problem. They're not polluting. Look at that. And it's like, well, that's wrong answer.
Yeah,
but it's like,
of course.
But it's like it's an answer for you. You get to save your planet. You get rid of millions of people.
I have a better one than that. I'm not a hokey pokey, save the planet, we're dying and global warming kind of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But lots of people are. And my whole point is, well, how many kids do you have? And if they say 2, and I go, well, you do know the amount you're polluting, you're responsible for them and all their forebears ad infinitum as they go forward. That's your responsibility, not mine. I have no kids. So I can pollute as much as I stupidly want, have a coal-powered truck in my driveway and a cold heated house, and I will pollute so much less than you in the for the future of what I've caused and what you've caused for the wrecking of the planet. So maybe you shouldn't have had children. And they go, but I wanted children. I go, so you wanted to be responsible for all that pollution. Yeah, that's all it is. You have to say yes to that. You got to say, yeah, I guess I'm willing to do that to the planet. And then you're going, okay, now it's a whole different argument. Jeff is the guy who doesn't cause the problems, and you are the one who does when you argued the opposite with me.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. And you can argue any point, and that's the interesting thing about it. But it's same with this guy. Like, is he allowed to, have an affair and look at a woman in the window and then get, be led astray? And like, does his repercussions, what do they mean? And it's like, his repercussions were pretty intense. Like, the poor guy does one thing wrong and he ends up like killing someone and having to cover it up, and it's getting now involved with this woman, and now he's going to be blackmailed. It's like, can it get any worse for him? Like,
well, remember, all the guys beforehand were all yapping, and I think that's why he had the dream. They were all yapping about, that's something like that, like an affair with that wonderful woman. We're beyond that. We're too old. Don't say we're too old. We're not too old. And they're having that discussion back and forth. And that's why he had the dream, was because he ends up thinking he's got this girl. And then, so in his brain, he's going, see, I'm young enough to meet a girl who likes me and finds me attractive and wants to intellectually discuss things with me at her apartment. And she's gorgeous. And something happened badly. I don't know why. I mean, I would have called the cops immediately. I would think that there's do you remember when he said his friend psychoanalyzed that guy was a shrink or something, and said, oh, he's a hothead. And you could see in his head, he's going, oh, if I'd have only known that, I'd have called the cops, because then my story of him attacking me would make sense. Like, you saw him go, like, oh crap, that I've just learned some information that if I'd have only known this before, but of course I didn't know this before.
Well, the other thing that I thought was kind of funny is that she hands him the scissors. Like, so far he's not going to kill him. He's going to end up dead because the guy's choking him, right? But it's like, she hands him the scissors. He doesn't even go looking for him. She hands it like she wants him dead, and she gets him to do it.
I didn't understand why she didn't stab him in the back. Like,
look, she doesn't. Yeah, I know, that's really smart of her, but it's like, she would have had a better position to stab him in the back, because I don't even know that he could have done it. Like, if you're being choked, so you have to sort of just suspend
you'd have to do it from the front, and maybe he did it from the front. Maybe I saw him doing that, but maybe he shoved one in the front and got it in his heart or something.
Yeah. But then the blood on the thing and the forensics, and this was no NCIS, but they did. They had tire tracks and molds, and they had blood type on the fence, and they did pretty darn good for
how worn out the tire was. 20 to 30,000 miles on the tire. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, to hear that, like, because like they don't have the things that they have now to investigate things. But same with, like, he burnt his suit, but the guy's hat, he had it in the car and he was going to go put it away and he decided not to. And it's like, did we ever see what happened to the guy's hat?
He burned it. He he did two fires. One was the hat. The second one was the,
okay. I didn't catch that. I know he did his own suit.
Yeah. His own vest, because he lent her the vest and to come back to go pick it up. Said,
that's a biblical story too, right? It reminds me of
Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah. The Joseph. Well, he didn't lend it to her, but like an article of clothing is left to prove someone's innocent or guilt. So that just sort of is an interesting thing.
Now, Fritz Lang directed this. Fritz Lang, to me, he did The Frau in the Moon. There's a very famous, and I looked, The Frau in the Moon is now on YouTube. And so I just scanned through the movie and I couldn't find it. It's a very famous, I've seen discussions of science fiction movies, and there's a big face in the moon and a rocket ship that comes up and lands and sort of sticks in the moon. And you see it like, it's about 1/5 the size of the moon, this rocket ship. And then the face is like, oh, I just got hit by this rocket. That's The Frau in the Moon. And so he made one of the very first science fiction movies out there, and there are a lot of really cool things were in that movie, like when they're heading towards the moon, they're weightless in the rocket ship. So there was along the floor, there was little straps every so often. And as you walked, you put your foot in the straps to be able to walk and not be floating away. And the fact that they wanted to show that, they're silly because that has nothing to do with weightlessness. If you're in orbit, that's when you would be weightless. But going to the moon, there is a spot about 3/4 of the way to the moon where you're actually weightless. But before that spot, you have weight. The Earth is pulling on you. When you get past the spot, the moon is pulling on you. So you'd feel it. In orbit, you would feel weightless.
Okay.
It's not just because you're in space. Like when you're in the space station floating around, your mass is essentially 100% of what probably 99.98 times what your mass is right now.
Yeah.
You're not weightless because you are away from Earth's gravity. You have the exact same amount of gravity on it. You're weightless because the space station is continually falling towards the Earth, exactly at the speed you would fall towards the Earth.
Mm.
That's why you're weightless in a rocket or anything going around the Earth.
Has to do with the orbit.
Well, imagine an elevator. If you cut the cord up 200 miles up, if you're in that elevator, you'd be falling at the same speed it is, and you'd feel weightless. You touch the wall, you go to the other side, all the way careening down towards the Earth, and you hit the roof, and you feel weightless, and then you hit the bottom, and you die. When you're going around the Earth, you're falling towards the Earth at the same time going away from the Earth. So you're continually falling towards the Earth as you're in orbit, exactly at the speed you would fall. That's why you have to go 11,000 kilometers an hour around the Earth to hit that. If you went 10 miles an hour around the Earth, you'd have all the weight you have right now. Wouldn't
okay. Yeah.
Because if you're going 10 miles an hour, you'd just go right into the Earth. The gravity would affect you. But you can hit escape velocity. That's why they say you have to go so fast, and the rockets have to go so much fuel. Just to get out there is not very much. It's to escape the Earth's gravity field.
Right.
You have to get out, because if you only have 10,000 kilometers an hour, you get out there, start going around the Earth, and it slowly start to decay, and then you'd crash in. That's what would happen. Even with escape velocity, there's enough air 200 miles up that it would slowly decay your orbit, and it would come crashing. That's why Skylab eventually comes down. The further away you are, the less atmosphere of Earth will slow you down. So if you go 800 miles out, you probably go around the Earth for, 10,000 years before you come down. But 200 miles, you'll come down in 4 years or something. It's just, there's enough atmosphere to slow you down, to drag you and make you not have escape velocity anymore, and then you eventually crash.
Okay, the last 4 minutes of this video call has been sponsored by
Physics.
Physics and Space.
Physics 101. I remember when I learned that. I loved learning that thing because it was an explosion in my brain. I think I learned it in grade 13, grade 12 or grade 13. And it was like, oh my goodness, things make sense now. That's why you're weightless in space. Oh, I get it, because none of it made sense to me before, because I knew the equations. And you go that far away from Earth, you wouldn't be weightless at all. Like, I didn't know. And it was because you're falling towards the Earth. That was so revolutionary in my brain. Maybe one person will listen to this and learn that. But of course, nobody who watches this gets this far into the podcast.
No. Well, just bringing it back to the thing, I found this little thing written about the movie, and it said it's loosely based on a plot from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, where the criminal is invited by the investigator to aid in solving the crime. This plot twist is used here and appears both in Agatha Christie novels and TV dramas such as Columbo. And it's like, oh yeah, Columbo. So I thought that was, and the movie was included in a list of the 400 movies. It was nominated for the top 100 in the top 100 most heart-pounding American movies. It was pretty heart-pounding for parts of it.
It was for me. I was really excited about what was happening.
The only thing is when he's driving the body, and it's like I was waiting for the guy's body to pop up. I was so expecting the head to come up, because that just would be so freaky.
didn't you find it weird that, and they must have cut it out of the movie, but the guy said to him, "Oh, but got to watch your brakes. Your brakes need work."
Yeah.
And nothing happened with the brakes.
Yeah.
That was very strange to me.
Yeah. Why did they say that? Except for to know that he was driving on his brakes. Yeah. It's almost like it was a part that they didn't have enough to shoot that scene for, to have his brakes almost go out or something.
Well, that would have been one where he tries to put on the brakes, the body comes up, and then the brakes sort of fail and it sort of falls back, and then the failing brakes saved him or something. You know what I mean? From the body being shown.
But I mean, if they wrapped up the body with a blanket and they didn't want to have the blood on anything, and then he gave the blanket back after he put it in the car. Why is there no blood in his car? Like, why didn't they address that?
Well, he did say that there's hardly any blood here. This is amazing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. Then how did they? Yeah,
this did handed the thing back. So she said she'd clean it. She would properly clean it.
Well, why doesn't he like bury it or burn it or something like he did with his suit?
Yeah, you would have thought there'd be a million ways.
Like I would have kept. I would until I got rid of the body. I would have kept it covered by a blanket instead of having just sitting there like laying in the back seat. It's like, yeah, my friend's sleeping back there with that gaping wound in his chest. But no, it was pretty cool. I thought it was a good movie. I
love how the beginning was exactly like the 7-Year Itch.
Yeah,
I thought it was going that way, and it wasn't going that way at all.
Well, it tried.
Yeah, you're right.
Not for trying.
Yeah.
He has the worst luck, I guess, in that way. But it reminds me of the movies. Like I think it was the one with Michael Douglas and Glenn Close. It's like it certainly doesn't encourage infidelity and adultery, because it's like, oh, it's going to go bad on you. It's going to go bad. And like that
movie makes you never want to fool around on your spouse. When you
yeah.
When you watch it. This one, not so much.
The chance that something's going to backfire on you. It's like, okay. She wasn't
doing that. It's funny that he didn't say I'm married with kids. She said I'm single.
Yeah.
His retort wasn't I'm free also, or I'm not free, or anything like that. They just sort of left that hanging.
Yeah.
That was a little bit, you think she would at least want to know, but if you're a hooker, you don't really care about knowing. I think she was. For a single girl at that age to have all those nylons in her drawer and all those keepsakes, and you're not just a well-liked individual in the neighborhood that everybody gives you money. Like, you got to be your hooker.
Yeah. And
he's rich, and gave her that $1,000. Yeah, for sure. 100%. She's supposed to be a super high class, high call girl hooker. Yeah.
Yeah. She is not, the sweet girl who's, in the wrong place at the wrong time or anything like that. It's like, she's asking for trouble.
And when the murder thing came, she goes, I don't want to be drawn into this, because she's a hooker. It's a great one to pin it on. So that'd be a reason why she wants Happy to be burying the body instead of just going calling the cops. Because if she's an innocent girl, calling the cops is a great thing to do. She didn't even do any stabbing. You know what I mean? Like you said, she hands it to him and he does the killing. So all she'd have to say is, yes, he's an old boyfriend of mine. He came over and he
slapped me around.
Right. But they'd go, you're a known hooker, and therefore we want you in prison. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So next, we've done another year of watching movies together. It's the New Year's resolution that we can say we've successfully finished.
Well, so I was thinking what we do next time. If you want to, we could do a series where we watch an episode after episode, because then they tell a continuing story. We could do movies from, we were both born in the 60s. So you can start with the 60s. All 12 movies have to be from the 60s. The next year, all from the 70s. The next year's all from the 80s. And see if we can live long enough to get to our current time. So that means...
Sure.
So 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, to 2010, 20. So it's 7 years we'd have to do it for to get to the current time. So that means I'd be like 65 or something. Could I still be doing this when I'm 65? That'd sort of be cool if I was.
So for January, what are we looking, something from the 60s?
We would be looking for movies from the 60s only that we can pick. And this time we can pick movies that we have seen if we want to. You know what I mean? Like we were doing movies that neither of us had seen. Now you just pick a movie you really like and you go with it. And then I pick one that I like. Because then we can really, by the end of the 60s, we'll end up talking about how everything is addressed in the 60s and why they made movies this way in the 60s and why these themes were important. Like Westerns were big in the 60s. One of those little boy, cowboys and Indians were the things you did. You know what I mean? Now you'd never do cowboys and Indians. It's not woke anymore. You can't do that. But then, like in the 70s, it was like martial arts movies, Bruce Lee. Not that we'd be watching a lot of those. I'm just like we would be able to talk about that being sort of one of the driving aspects of things.
Yeah, it would be nice too. I'll probably check out a site that says, the best movies of the 60s and see which ones we can.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's nice to have the cross section of like a couple of Westerns, a couple of comedies, different things like that.
I just put up a series called Voir, VOIR, in series. And it's a sort of documentary series, I think about 5 or 6 episodes. And it's all about movies and the themes and the ideas and why they were made a certain way. And like when I just went through a couple episodes, this is incredible. This is really cool. How they're digesting certain aspects of movie making. So watch one, even call up one of the episodes and fast forward through it and get the same thing I did, and you'll go, oh, I need to watch this. This will teach me lots. This will teach me about movie making and why they do things and how that changed the world. And they were talking a lot about Jaws, and this girl was saying how it changed her life watching it in the theater, and you know what I mean? The world changed, and she goes, my life changed that day when I saw Jaws in the theater. And that was just cool. It was really, yeah. So looking for Voir and take
okay. Awesome. So it's the 60s, and in January, you're going to tell me which movie, and we will watch at the end of January a movie from the 60s.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
So yeah, look around for like 6 movies you'd want to see, and I'll look around for 6 or 7 movies I'd want to see. Like pick more in case some of ours are the same. Can imagine some of ours being the same. Like in the 70s, we could like pick Bad Ronald. You know what I mean? Like that was a movie that's for both of us was very formative. You know what I mean? Like well, might that have been in the 60s? No, it's probably like 70 or 71, right?
It has to be 70s, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. But
like even in my head, I'm thinking there's movies that are set in the 60s, and then there's movies that are made in the 60s that are meant for, that they're the 1800s or whatever. So you have to think.
We're doing made in the 60s.
The 60s, yes.
Made in the 60s. Because then we'll say, even when they do one set, that'd be great to have one in the 60s to show, even how about the 60s telling us what the future is going to be like. Like I might make
set in the year 2000. Ooh.
Exactly. Space 1999. That's probably one that's in the 60s. I'll probably pick that one. I'd love to see
about that. Don't make me watch 2001: Space Odyssey.
Wow.
It was so. I tried watching it, and it's like, and then I fast forwarded, and it was still the same thing. It was just, it was so boring.
What?
It was so boring. I know. It's the thing is, Jeff, I've been reading books. I've been reading classic books, and I hate them. Some of them are just. I read some William Faulkner books, and it's like, and I'm trying to read Anna Karenina, and it's like I keep like it's this thick, and then I read the first 100 pages, and then I put it away, and I start reading something else, and then I'll try reading it again, and it's like I've forgotten the characters and stuff, but I'm reading it anyways. But it's like I don't like it. I've read a bunch of things that I don't like.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and in it they were talking about the book Crime and Punishment. That's when you said that about that movie.
Yeah.
And it was saying that fantastic book to read. It's such an epic kind of.
There's lots of books that are fantastic to read, and I didn't like them.
I know it's from
100 Years of Solitude. Blech, hated it.
Michael Malice was talking about it. Michael Malice is an anarchist. You know what an anarchist is?
Someone who's anarchistic. I don't know. I think I know what it is, but it's probably slightly different.
Yeah, it's not anarchy,
right?
How we think of anarchy, which is just everybody for himself, forget it. And there's, to some degree, that's in there. So an anarchist just believes in as much as no government as you could possibly have. You know what I mean? In other words, like let the people figure out the steps and the things that need to be done on a very local basis, but it's not anarchy as we think of the word anarchy, which is just free for all madness.
Yeah,
that's not what an anarchist is. So Michael Malice, he goes and talks on Lex Friedman's podcast. He's been on Joe Rogan podcast. He's very bright, and when you listen to him, and he was talking about Crime and Punishment. So if I can find that podcast where he's talking about it, I'll find it for you. I've been playing with my VR headset.
Okay.
I bought one a year and a half ago before I actually came out here. And so I put a game of ping pong on it. And I just bought the game yesterday, hoping to play with Nigel in Philadelphia at some point in time, because him and I used to play ping pong a lot. And he got a set for Christmas. And so I went on and I go into a room to challenge some people to play. And as I challenge this one guy, and all of a sudden I'm talking to this guy in New York State, and we're playing ping pong. And it is ultra realistic. It feels like you're in a room playing ping pong. There's a table right in front of you there. There's and you can put the ball, go tick, 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 tick right on your paddle right in front of you, the way you would normally go do it, and the way you serve, and put spins on the ball. It feels so realistic. It's fantastic. Even when it hits your paddle, you feel just a little teeny vibration, the same way when the ball would hit it. Just the smallest bit of a tick in your hand, and you hear the click of it when the other guy does it, and you're talking back and forth. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But there's rooms, like you and I can go watch a movie on there where we're both sitting in a theater. You put yours on, I put mine on. We go to the theater and we both watch the same movie. We sit down with this big movie in front of us. I could turn around to you and talk to you, and so we'd be looking at the movie. If you do this, you know what I mean? You go look around the room. It's pretty interesting.
So we have to wait for the technology to advance so much that you get a second one, and then you give me your old one, like you give me all your old stuff, and then I can finally play with you.
Or I could just get you a new one.
No, you don't need to get me a new one.
I don't need to do anything, but if I want to watch movies with my sister, that might be a way of doing it.
Did you get, we should keep, are we going to still record, or are you going to stop recording?
I'll stop it now. And I was almost going to hang up.
That was really good, though. That was a good chat.
That was very good. Stop recording now.